Hello everybody, welcome back to Sagni Valley's ESL Corner. Today we are going to do another grammar segment, this time on gerunds and infinitives. Gerunds and infinitives are a little difficult in English, so I will explain the differences for you today, some examples as well as some exceptions, and we will also leave a few resources down below if you want to consult a longer list of these different expressions. So in English, we have gerunds and we have infinitives. And these two elements we use to describe how we complete a sentence or how we complete an action or a verb. So gerunds will follow a verb, typically, and infinitives will also follow a verb. Now, which one do I use? A gerund or an infinitive? Well, there is no easy solution to this question. You just have to practice until you use them by heart. So today I will give you a few examples, explain the differences, and also give you some exceptions, as I mentioned. In the gerund side of things, gerunds often represent hobbies or activities that we repeat, and we use a gerund to represent these concepts. In this category, I have 4 different examples of verbs that we need to use a gerund with them. For example, the verb consider. I can say this summer I consider driving to Montreal, for example. Or I can say in general I consider sleeping to be a nice activity, for example. Or I consider painting to be relaxing. So sleeping or painting, driving, those are gerunds. The second verb, quit, I can say, for example, it's not true, but I can say I quit smoking. Smoking is the gerund, the verb is quit. I quit smoking. I quit to smoke, this does not exist in English. I quit smoking is the correct formula. The verb appreciate, same thing, I use a gerund with it. So I can say, example, I appreciate swimming in the summer. I appreciate to swim. I appreciate swimming. And the final example, here we have a preposition. So often in English with phrasal verbs, we have a preposition matched with the verb. If this is the case, you must automatically use a gerund after to express your idea. Example, I look forward to cooking the new recipe. So cooking is my gerund. So these are 4 examples, and as you can see here by the ... there are many more expressions that belong in the gerund category for certain verbs in English. So gerunds typically in English represent a hobby, a repeated action, and gerunds are nouns. In the opposite, infinitives often represent a one-time action, typically, that does not necessarily repeat. So gerunds, activities, hobbies, pastimes, passions, or things that repeat, and infinitives, a one-time action, a one-time idea. The second category that we have here, infinitives. So again, there are certain verbs in English where you have to use an infinitive to complete your verb. So some of them it's just a gerund, some of them it's just an infinitive. For example, the verb plan. I plan to buy a new car. I plan buying a new car doesn't exist in English. I plan to buy with an infinitive. Want, for example, I want to see this movie. To see is my infinitive. I want to see. Have. I have to go home. I have to go, infinitive. I have going home, that does not make any sense. And the final example, choose. I choose to write a story. I choose writing a story, that doesn't make sense. I choose to write with an infinitive. For these 2 categories, as I mentioned, specific definitions for both and also specific verbs for both categories. But there are some exceptions that I have here where you can use an infinitive or a gerund after, and either the definition is the same or very, very different. So, for example, here, the verb like and the verb love. You can use an infinitive or a gerund with practically no difference. Example, I like to ski or I love to ski with an infinitive. Example number 2, I like skiing or I love skiing with a gerund, practically no difference. Different grammatically, yes, and the elements are different, but the comprehension, the idea is very, very similar. My favorite sport or what I prefer is skiing. For the verb stop and the verb try, there are some big differences. If I say, for example, with a gerund, I stopped eating sugar, for example. This means that I cut sugar from my diet. No more cookies, no more actual sugar, nothing. So in this case, the gerund represents the action of eating. I stopped eating. So completely finished. If I say I stopped to eat sugar, this means that I stopped one time to do this action. I stopped to eat sugar. So I took a break and I had some chocolate or something with sugar. So big difference. For the verb try, again, very, very similar. There is a big difference. If I say I tried cooking a new recipe, I made an attempt. I tried cooking with a gerund, but I probably didn't succeed or I didn't do very well on this recipe. If I say I tried to make this recipe, I tried one time and I probably succeeded for this action. So I tried cooking or I tried to cook, big difference. And as I mentioned, this is a small list. For the gerund, the infinitives, and the exceptions, there are more verbs for each of the two general categories and also the exceptions. So please consult the link below. To practice these different expressions, I will ask you some questions and you can comment below your answers. Here in the gerund category, I can say, what do you appreciate doing on the weekend? Or what do you look forward to doing on the weekend? Maybe cooking, cleaning, walking, shopping, who knows? And in the infinitive category, what do you plan to do this weekend? Do you plan to cook? Do you plan to travel? Etc. So leave a comment below, like this video if you would like, and also subscribe if you want more content like this for grammar or also conversation segments. Thank you very much. Bye!